All right. Hello, welcome back to the Gamer's Tale. Tonight we're going to be delving into a topic that we've covered a couple times before. It's going to be economics within games. And I did a bit of research for this one, so hopefully it goes a bit better than last time. There are a surprisingly large number of games that either don't have an economy or are entirely based on an economy. Whether it's from battle points for army recruitment to very in-depth, almost spreadsheet-like intricacies, economies are important to each and every game that we play. I'm joined by Jose to talk about some of those. For me, personally, I haven't really played a lot of online games, but one of the ones that had the largest and most intricate economy I have ever encountered personally has been Runescape. Their Grand Exchange worked very, very similar to the stock exchange, and you could move products. I could get them to sell in literally the moment I got them on the market if I knew what I was doing. And I think, at least personally, I think that, at least for tabletop D&D style things, a lot of people don't really take economic factors into account in the scenario.
Well, one of my first, as an adult, I started playing D&D mostly in college, so I had a basic understanding of how things were running. I mean, at first, during certain types of quests, you deal with gold, you deal with silver and copper. That's standard. But then, if you go into like you change up the campaign setting, go somewhere like Egypt. It's all about trade. It's not Egypt per se, but it's basically a campaign setting. It's that of an Egyptian type, where it's all about trade. It's all about what you got for this. It's not about money because they're, to them it's just metal. Now, do you have salt? Because apparently in a place like Egypt during that time, salt is a very important thing. Do you have dried foods? Like that economy, teaches you something, that not everything is about money. If you think about it, money is created by basically the government. And so when it comes to trade is a great way to control an economy. If you got what everybody wants, everyone's going to come to you. But if you don't have anything that anyone needs, what do you got? Now, when it comes to video games, characters can, for example, Final Fantasy. You go, you fight a monster, it drops gold for some reason, and you can go buy whatever you want. It doesn't show anything. I mean, I never played World of Warcraft, for example. I don't know how the economy works in that. I never played, what was it, RuneScape you talked about? I never played that either. But when it comes to economy, that's a whole other world in and of itself.
Really, what actually started this kind of little series, that it's not really a series, was we would normally do bring up new RPGs that are up on Kickstarter.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And one of them, it really intrigued me because it was called Red Markets, and its entire basis was, how does the average individual, poor person, survive, and how do they put food on the table, clothes on their backs, roofs over their heads in the post-apocalyptic world? Will they beg, borrow, and steal? Trying to figure out in the game.
Well, first I've heard about it, but I'm familiar with Kickstarter and what it's all about. There's something else that I want to talk about when it comes to the way video games are nowadays progressing and how they're being made. That's a different subject, but something that you definitely want to talk about. Anyway, when it comes to post-apocalyptic settings, you can't talk about post-apocalyptic settings without going to Fallout. The whole Fallout series is developed. For example, the economy in Fallout, it's all about bottle caps. Do you believe that? Bottle caps.
I don't know why. I've seen that trope, and I don't get why they want the caps.
It's their form of economy. For example, uh, in the post-apocalyptic world, paper money has lost its value. There are no governments, so it's all about uh, soda bottle caps. The more bottle caps you have, the more you can buy, and you can find paper money. It's called pre-war money, and you can't do anything with it, but you know, put it, throw it out. It doesn't. It's not. It doesn't have a face value of it. I mean, there's not even gold. I mean, yeah, there are gold bars in some settings, but I mean, you can trade also. You can trade literally. You can trade junk for bottle caps, or trade junk for whatever equipment and guns you might want. How does a poor person uh, survive in a post-apocalyptic setting? Simple, a lot better than a rich person in a post-apocalyptic setting, because the rich person is going to be like, okay, I have all this paper money, and like, yeah, so what? You're not doing anything for me. That does nothing for me.
The interesting part of the setting for red marks is that the rich are in, of course, the highly specialized bunkered cities, and this deals with everyone outside of that who has to deal with the zombies,
Mm-hmm.
various warlords, and all that stuff that we really play the RPG for.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's what puts the value on the economy. What's the worth? What does everybody want? What does everybody need? What does everyone value here? For example, in Fallout 3, one of the most valued things was water. Clean water. And was there a market for it? Yeah, there was. And the whole premise of the game was finding a way to clean all the irradiated water in the wasteland. So what happens there? There are certain factions that want to stop you. Why would they want to stop you? Simple. Whoever controls the water in the post-apocalyptic world controls everyone else. You want to survive another day? You got to pony up some services. You got to give us some bottle caps or whatever. You're trying to free the wastelands, or you're trying to control it. What do you want to do? And if the world were to start ending tomorrow, if the governments should fall, where does that leave us? Where's our economy at? What are you going to be able to do? I know I'll be able to. I will not thrive, but I'll be able to survive. I'll be able to take care of my wife and kids. But what's going to be able to somebody that's never done anything, who's never prepared for a situation like that? Economies used to be based on the amount of gold. Wait a second. The economy used to be based on the amount of gold that the government can garner, but you can't do that anymore. Now it's all about paper. So what do? I mean, video games teach you some type of trade in certain settings. Others just, oh hey, you killed a monster, it gives you 1 million gold. You want to buy this high-end piece of equipment, go ahead, it costs 1 million gold. What does that really teach you? Not a whole lot.
There was one particular show. It's more of a B flick show that is a mockery of the zombie setting, but predominantly they traded in bullets. And I think at one point there the West that they traded in bullets as well, because bullets are expensive.
Yeah. For example, bullets. The setting of that was you're saying bullets, right? Okay.
Yeah, bullets.
So let's say a guy has 10,000 bullets, right? He's a very rich man, but let's say somebody with a bullet press comes around, with a round press comes around. Who's rich? He is. I mean, he can make all the ammunition he wants and sell it for whatever he wants. See, it's all about you got something, but how do you get that something and stay in business? The economy of though I think it was on Metro last night. You can also make bullets. I mean, you couldn't make it. You had to find bullets. But then there was also good ammunition. There was normal ammunition and then good ammunition. So you had to. Did you want to use the good ammo against the aliens, or did you want to use the bad ammo so you can trade for it later? And what is it you want to do?
That reminds me of probably two of my favorite games that I've been well, I haven't played one recently, but well, the other one was called SAS 4 Zombie Assault, and you pretty much had to provide your own ammunition for your weapons that you would pick up. And I found that everyone wanted to use and purchase the high damage ammunition, but I just decided to choose the weapon that had the highest base damage and modify it that way, and buy the cheapest ammo possible so I could use it to buy and build better guns.
Okay.
So I easily amassed much more ammunition than other people. And it also reminds me of one of my more favorite cheat games, which was Star Traders RPG, where you are captain of a merchant vessel, and you travel around the universe, and you have to recruit crew and also keep the thing provisioned. And if you didn't have enough water, the crew would riot and try to depose you, and you would have to end up killing some of your crew in order to be able to make it to port to purchase more water. That was the major reason why I died in that game. It wasn't the pirates. It wasn't the various factions that I just happened to be goody-goody with both going to war with each other. It was because I ran out of water far away from a place that sold it.
Funny you mentioned that. You ever see the movie? Oh man, it escapes me. It had Orlando Bloom in it. But, he played a see like an IMDb real quick. Anyway, he tried to tell everyone, you can't go to war with these people. You have to stay here, or if you're gonna move, you got to go where the water is. And they were like, "Oh, you're stupid. You're young. You don't know. How dare you talk to me that way? I am a head knight, whatever, yada yada yada." So what happened?
Heaven?
What's that?
You mean Kingdom of Heaven?
Kingdom of Heaven. That's it. Yeah, that's it.
That was one of like the first like gore-filled movies I was ever allowed to watch.
Yeah, it was Kingdom of Heaven. And they said, we got to stay here where the water is. And like, no, we're going to go to war and whatnot. And what happened? His army was decimated. Why? They were exhausted. They were
Dehydrated.
Dehydrated. Their animals were dehydrated. And, and what happened? The bad guys just literally waited them out. All they had to do was go from water to water. That's it. And people, that's an economy in and of itself. You go to the desert, what are they going to value? Are they going to value gold? No. No, you dump somebody in the middle of the desert, they'll trade everything they have for a glass of water. What was the James Bond movie? That he dumped the guy in the middle of nowhere and gave him a quart of oil. And he said, like, I wonder how long you'll last before you actually find that quart of oil actually pretty tempting.
I'm not really up on the James Bond series, so I can't help you there.
Okay. Yeah, watch them though. The Daniel Craig ones are great. But anyway, yeah, back to the video game economics. Certain games, for example, can't really think of it. Economics, I never really paid attention. But The Witcher 3, for example, that's a game that its economy is really based on what you can do for people and if they'll trade with you. I mean, hey, I need you to go kill this monster. Can you do that? No, I can't. I'm busy. Okay, then everything is going to cost you like 3 times extra. Tit for tat.
Interestingly enough, The Witcher is based off of Polish folklore, which I find quite interesting. We are actually going to have a Polish-themed episode, or Witcher-themed episode in a couple weeks or so.
I got to brush up on that.
Obviously, you're interested, so I have to check to see if you're available at the time.
Yeah, I'll give it a go. Hopefully I'm available.
Anyway,
yeah.
In one of the early episodes of the show, I talked about one of the various options that you have to create tension and conflict within an RPG.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people really forget about how much economics can create a very good setting and a very good antagonist. for any game.
I sorry
ahead.
about. I was going to say that I haven't really had any type of. I never really played a game that lets you control economy. Age of Empires, I think, but that was way back in the day.
Yeah. But seriously, there is things that the economy affects that people really don't think of. Nations go to war over the economies that they have.
Mhm.
That, it's not just about politics sometimes. The board game that I mentioned to you before, Heroescape, is actually about control of these magic well springs that have magical properties. And it's actually more a war about water instead of a war about who will control Valhalla, which is the setting. But it's who will control the well waters that give them the enhanced abilities to control Valhalla.
Oh wow, that's interesting. I've never seen a setting like that before.
It's I found it very interesting because obviously it's based on Norse mythology,
Yeah.
and it's about these Kiri, the angel-like beings, finding these well springs and looking into different time periods and worlds and taking troops and creatures and soldiers from those times and places and bringing them to Valhalla to engage in combat for territory.
Oh wow, that sounds like a freaking awesome setting. I would like to play that.
Yeah, it is. The only problem is that the stuff is no longer in production. You can get some fan-made new squads, but you may be able to find more of the figurines. The only problem is storing, buying, and setting up the battlefields.
Oh, so it's what you call it? You said it's out
Uh,
of but it uses figurines.
it does,
Oh.
and table or it's not like Warhammer where you can just play it on top of a table. Sometimes it has all of the fancy board that you have to use with it as well.
I'm old school pen paper. You know the books. You can find them online. One guy buys the books. We all pull one together. So instead of spending $250 in books, we pull the money between what 20 something people that play the setting, and we go ahead and pay 10 bucks a piece, and hey, I read the books. I know the science of it. We can play. And that saves you a ton of money, but things get advanced. Now we got to use like little figurines and like whatnot. Like okay, what the hell? Now we got to buy more stuff and then more settings. It just evolved. Basically, D&D created DLCs.
Yeah.
You had the Dungeon Master's Guide, you had the Player's Guide, and then you had the Monster Manual. Right, you had the 3 basic books. And then what happened? Then you had the campaign settings. Then you had Greyhawk. Then you had Ravenloft. Then you had what else? I don't know. Some other campaign centers, other places. Then, you had other sciences entirely. You had Vampire the Masquerade. Then you had Shadowrun. Then you had all these different games with different settings and different sciences and whatnot. And it's all great. It's all fun. But again, it's all an investment. It's not like video. Yeah, back in the day, $60 on a Nintendo game was. I'm talking about NES game. 60, $70 for an NES game was fine. You would shell that out real quick. Well, your parents would. But buying a book for that amount of money? Are you insane? No. So
The great thing about it is that both of those still work today.
yeah, that's the thing. I have thousands of dollars worth of old school books in my computer. I didn't pay time for it. Don't tell anybody. But they're free for download. A lot of them are free for download. The first edition, second edition, 3, 4. Well, not 4. of D&D are there for you. You can go get. If you want to play those systems, you can go ahead and play those systems. Right now, usually I play a Pathfinder with my friends, and one of them, introduced me to a program called Hero Lab. You can buy books at your leisure. They cost about a tenth of what the paper or the physical copy costs, and that's fine too. But actually, we ran away from the subject. We were talking about the economy of video games, but when it comes to economy in games in general, it's all a science. It's all math. I mean, you can show up to in any if a video game allows it. For example, in tabletop games, the limitation you have is your imagination. You quite essentially have zero limitations to what you want to do, right? You have zero limitation. You can go do whatever it is you want. You just have to have the luck of the die. You need to get the magic number, and the DM says, "Hey, yeah, you made it. You made 20 arrows, and of those 20 arrows, 15 are those masterwork. You give it to the high to whoever so he can sell it. He asks for 10 gold. The value is 10 gold. He asks for 20. He throws a check. You just made 25 gold off of 15 arrows, and what'd you do? You spent 3 coppers. Just like that. In a video game, you might not be able to do that. You might not be able to find a system that lets you do that. Some games let you invest. For example, Skyrim, Oblivion, you can go and invest in certain stores after you do a certain amount of things, and you can show up and they give you money. But what is that really? All you do is going up there and they're giving you money. You're not really working for it. You're not learning anything. You're not really doing something. And yeah, that's the gist of it. I mean, some video games just don't have that science, and it's something that it should have, because it'll push the player to do something else besides run and gun, dungeon crawl, steal. I mean, in certain Memorpagers, they've literally created their own society. There's a guy that became a multimillionaire real world because of what he did with his in the game. Let's look at YouTube it real quick. And economies in video games are like, we're barely touching up, because I'm no expert in economies, but I do know that there's some video games that made people rich. And
was found all out as the greatest MMORPG economy is EVE Online. Supposedly yeah. It's like I looked through the wiki. It's like I'm looking through it. And it's like, oh, I want to find out about this stuff, and I find like most of the stuff isn't filmed. It's like, this is not helping me. But this sounds like a very good game.
No, yeah, it's very. I don't want to say broad. It's just very expansive. It's so huge. I mean, where do you start? I just couldn't get into that. It's just something just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, several of the other people who've been on here said, "I'm sorry, I don't need a unpaid part-time job right now." Yeah. But on the amusing side, in EVE Online, the stuff that you build for your base is referred to as a POS, a player-owned structure. I don't think that means what you think it means most places, but yeah.
I think I remember reading up on something that somebody did on E-Online. I think it was shut down, but they created a hookup site, a hub. You go there, you buy certain whatever the hell, and then if you give like a password to somebody, they'll give you a link to a chat room. You go, you talk to somebody, and then you can hook up with them in the real world. The thing is,
Wow.
it's monitored. Yeah, it's monitored, and you have to give a kickback. Like, okay, you're gonna hook up with somebody, you got to pay up, or guess what?
It's actually kind of ingenious, but I know people like my brother have gotten into at least in RuneScape, like into guilds where it's like we make like you have to bring in like maybe 1 to 2 million in-game currency a day or a week, and
Wow.
it's like, what? When do people have time to put that much effort into it? I mean, he he can actually technically, if he plays like 6 hours a day, fund membership for RuneScape for free. All he's spending is time, and that is one of the things that I think video game people have figured out. It's like, okay, we can get them addicted if we offer them. If they play more of our game, they can use that within our economy to get stuff that they would usually have to put real world money into to get it for relatively free. But the thing about it is, you're spending so much time on there. You're seeing all the ads. You're seeing all the stuff that you could be getting, the skins and
Exactly.
stuff.
Exactly.
And that it's like, okay, no matter what, you're still doing more you're doing the legwork for most people or most gamers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And then there are games that have zero economy. For example, what I'm playing right now, Wildlands, zero economy, none whatsoever. You do not shop, you do not sell, you do not anything. You find what you want, and that's it. You take it. But then there are games that thrive on economy, like you mentioned, Online thrives on economy. A guy can log in and make $500 in an hour. Because he established a virtual world that people want to pay real money for whatever little thing. That's absolutely insane. It branches out from a video game to the real world in a sense. And
There was a one story that I found really compelling. It popped up on Facebook probably 2 to 3 weeks ago. The guy's reminiscing about in RuneScape that he and his friends pretty much built a taxi network within the game of just having characters run around and having people follow them so they can go AFK to get to places that they don't really want to actually run to before they integrated more teleportation in the game. And they said, so we eventually got like staff. We figured out the salary that they would have to have, the routes that would get you the most effective places between quests and skilling and all this stuff. So we enjoyed it more than the game. We eventually got it so that we hired accountants in game to deal with the amount of revenue we're getting in to pay the people, while the 5 original guys are just like holed up in a house in one of the major cities at the main hub. And he says, enjoyed it more than we actually enjoyed playing RuneScape.
And guess what? They're getting paid for it, so they have a job. Who says it's a waste of time?
Well, no, that's going on real world economy. It amazes me
exactly
how many successful people there, moderately successful people there are, who are literally just playing video games with people watching them and maybe talking to the people who are watching them. It's like, I do that most days with my friends. Like, you think I can be paid for that?
It goes beyond being a professional gamer and going to the competitions and.
Well, even some of the ones that I watch, they're not professional.
Exactly.
They're like,
it's not professional. It's not a professional thing. It's you sit at home and you do this, and no one's bothering you. You don't got to go to this. You don't have to go to, like, for example, let's say you live in Iowa, you don't have to go to California for a competition. No, you sit at home. You log in for a couple of hours. You do your job transporting or whatever, the taxi service, and you make some money.
Exactly.
I mean, seriously, what's wrong with that? That's absolutely outstanding, and I see nothing wrong with that at all. Does it pay the bills? The
bills get paid. We don't ask questions.
The bills get paid. Nobody gets hurt, and you're not screwing somebody over. That's it. What is wrong? Can a kid do this? Let's say a high school kid comes home, he does his homework, he's 16. he notices, hey, I can do this. I can play for an hour, hour and a half.
Well,
And yeah, exactly. He's basically does a job, and he has some play money, and who knows? Maybe he'll branch out. Maybe he'll move up. Maybe he'll end up taking over the business.
Yeah.
And in 10, 20 years, he takes that exact, like the science that they created, the mechanism, and he decides, hey, I'm going to bring this up to my dad who works for whoever the heck, and he presents it at a firm, and they're like, oh my God, this is absolutely amazing. And guess what? Now he's got another job. Now he's got a, if you want to call it a real world job, but it branches out.
There's still people who they get donations and stuff just for pretty much providing an entertainment. That's pretty much TV of you watching someone playing a game as they interact with. It's more interactive, and I see that YouTube is getting into. YouTube and PlayStation are expanding into what would normally just be the cable and satellite companies era of we're providing TV, we're providing channels, and it gets to a point where it's like, where does the game end and where does real life begin if all these things are so interconnected with an economy-based practice?
There is no more divider. Before there was a divider, but it all changed back when something called online gaming came through. And it didn't start in the early 2000s. It started in the early 90s with something called the Sega Channel. That was the first online system. It sucked. It was terrible, and it could barely function. But there were people out there that had it, and it was working. And guess what? Is that the breaking reality? There it is, right there. Now you can expand, and you can play with somebody from across the globe, and it just evolved into something, something else. It turned into video game competitions. People making $10,000 a competition when the second place gets $7,500. But hey, for an 18-year-old kid, for a 16-year-old kid, that's a lot of money. He goes to other competitions. He makes more money than his parents do, and it's helping them pay the bill. That's fine. Where does real world end? It changed all that because now people are using that to date, to find their love of their life. I personally know people that I met on World of Warcraft, and are in a relationship. How many hundreds of thousands of people have not met on the internet, and they're married now with kids? I'm one of them. I met my wife through the internet. I know people that went to bars all their lives, went to clubs all their lives, and guess what? Met the dumbest people you can possibly meet. Because at the end of the day, when you have a computer monitor, for some reason, you're not afraid of the person not liking who you are. When you meet someone in person for the first time and you want to impress them, you tend to lie. You tend to say things you wouldn't normally say. Why? Because you want to impress them. That's what meeting someone for the first time is. It's like a job interview.
It is.
Yeah. And so when you're on the internet, you don't give a damn if this person likes who you are or not. If they stop talking to you, they stop talking to you. Some people take it overboard and just, oh no, she said no to me. Like, dude, get a life. You've just been in front of the computer way too long. Give me about a minute or two, miss. I'm gonna put my son to sleep real quick.
I'll continue on. Well, he's gone. One of the major things that I found quite annoying with online interactions, like the expectations get higher, I find. But we should I'll bring it back to the economy. One of my favorite things about Star Trek RPG was that while there was space dangers and physical dangers represented by the warring clans and the pirates and opportunists, the economy was more what was driving you than the lust for battle. And with that, you had to make sure your supplies were stockpiled. You had enough food, water, enough manpower in order to shift material from one place to the next. You also had to know where there was a demand for a product, and you would get economic updates every so often through the interwebs of the game, and you could check out and see where such and such space station has run out of water, and so obviously you can go in there and sell water for a much higher price than you would get on another place that has an abundance of water on an ocean planet. And with that, you could come back and buy antibiotics, which are cheap on the place that has almost no water. Trade water for at a higher price to get what you needed. Buy cheap antibiotics or whatever it was there. Go to another place that has low amounts of antibiotics. Sell those. Purchase the weapons that they had for cheap because they apparently needed those less than they needed the antibiotics. Go to a place that needs weapons, and it continues rolling and rolling and rolling. To an extent that if you know what you're doing in a video game and what you're doing in real life, you can roll a profit into another profit, into another profit, into another profit. And the great thing about the video game genre is that it allows for a bit of safety while you explore the concept of a thing rather than going out spending billions of dollars and losing billions of dollars in an idea that's flawed. It gives you a basic principle, a training area, if you will, to learn how economies work, learn real world skills, unlike what people think where gamers are just sitting there wasting their time. And Jose mentioned earlier that you're actually doing something. The economy in a game and learning how to survive in a moneyless economy is going to help you a lot in the real world compared to Call of Duty jumping in, hosing the place with bullets, and racking up kills and not getting ejected. Video games, studies show this, video games help people figure out life skills that they should probably already know. Either way, video games are really, really great teachers because you're playing it for fun originally. There's games that I will not play after trying them. One of them is Nobunaga's Ambition, which is based off of the Chinese warring states period, where you have to run a kingdom, raise an army, provision the army, get weapons for the army, train the army, send them out with the right amount of food to strategic locations, build the roads, build the cities, fortify them, make sure peace is secured. And it's government and state simulation games like Tropico and Island Dictator, I think it's called, or something. All these games, for some reason, are unbelievably fun if you're into it, but they teach very necessary skills, especially if you want to be an economist. The thing about this is that it also takes a lot of patience, and if you shut down the game and it doesn't run while you're gone, like some games I know of that do run while you're gone, you're going to have to leave your whatever device you have on running continually, and I really don't like that, especially since my device is actually starting to die, unfortunately. That it can't run the game for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. I can not only get it to go for hours, but it might have a few hiccups. But if I have a overly graphic game, it will die.
All right, I'm back.
Okay, so I just went on a long tirade of how video games help teach us about economies and give us a safe place in order to test out theories and ideas without having to blow a bunch of money on how to roll products into profit, into another profit, into another product.
Hmm. How do you figure that? Which?
Star Trader RPG, you would get economic updates of one of the major ones was they had space stations, and you would be informed that a particular space station was low on water. If you were near several other places where they would also inform you that, say, Planet X had a surplus of water, you could go there, go to the place that had almost no water, sell it at a higher price, earn a larger profit, roll that into something like antibiotics, go to a place that has almost no antibiotics but has a surplus of munitions. After you sell the antibiotics at a greater price, you buy very low on the munitions, go to a place that needs munitions, and continue upselling and upselling and upselling
Yeah.
the products.
So
I mean, I could have done that game for hours doing that, except that they added the harder um, thing of there were 7 factions. You have to choose which faction you're a part of, but you could be friendly with other ones. But the only problem is that since I was such a likable guy, I was friends with all of them and had a very high ranking in the reputation with each of them. And when they went to war with each other, both actual violence, I was kind of stuck in the middle, especially when it says, "Oh, you can't sell or really interact with any of their representatives or people flying under their flag, or places that they need like stuff." It's like, okay, that puts a damper on my mercantilism, and I'm gonna need to find a new market if I want to maintain my um, high standing with these trade houses.
see
It was
that totally blows because you had basically you had your thing going, and then like okay now you got to be part of something, but we don't do trade with other people. So who's to say that you wanted to be part of that anyway? Why can't you just go and basically be a rogue, be your own guy? And that's another thing that video games fail upon. They want to force you to be part of a group, be part of a league of whatever the heck, and be like, well, what if I'm not? What if I don't really want to do that? Oh, but you have to. Why? I can make more money going solo. If anyone attacks me, you'll be by yourself. I mean, if anyone attacks you, you'll be by yourself. Like, I'm pretty sure I can ask for a favor for a discount if somebody does attack me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there was a few times. I forget how it happened. I would have like 50 or above reputation with most of them, and for like one was a government and one was a syndicate. For some reason, I had pissed them off that I was a like enemy of the state, negative 150 some odd reputation points, whereas like I was the devil incarnate according to their uh, laws and stuff. So when one of the trade houses would go to war with them, it's like, okay, I'll raid their stuff for you. They already hate me. I might as well make a profit at it.
That's it. Make it work for you.
Yeah.
You really want to go to war with me? All right, I'll teach you why that's a bad idea. And then there you go.
There was my favorite part of that game, especially was you could be attacked by pirates, and so every time a pirate would attack me, I would take out their engines with my whatever I had at the time, whether it was torpedoes or laser guns, board them, take all their stuff, pretty much put everyone to the sword, and then blow the crate or sell the crate as I saw fit afterwards. And that was my favorite part of the game.
Well, yeah. Hell yeah, make it work for you, man. The hell with them.
Yeah. I also would take some of their crew as my own because some of my guys got killed in the process.
Yeah, you can't. Not all piracy ends with no deaths on your side. But sacrifices must be made.
there's actually a number of games that I got into that were very similar to Star Trader RPG. One was Pardus. I think it was based out of Australia. They had similar ship designs, but you could be like non-denominational, for lack of a better term. But if you were part of the denomination, you would get upgraded things and better gear and better weapons availability. And so you could have something like this mothership that has like 30 cannons on it and an unlimited amount of missiles to go wage war on the galaxy. Or you could have the guy who's like a small cannon but has planets full of cargo. It's like, which one do I want to be?
That's kind of like sounds like what happened. I think it was on EVE Online that one guy found an exploit and he managed to create such an. He basically game. He bought like a dreadnought, and he used that to take over part of the system, and he kept buying more and more dreadnoughts, so he became like incredibly powerful, and he became unrivaled. Oh,
Oh, he
man.
became his own government. That's what you're saying.
Basically. And then I think he ended up falling, like being destroyed, like his entire government being dismantled once, like, other people caught on to whatever. And I'm trying to find it. Top 10 online game travesties. There was another thing on EVE Online that, like, when it comes to economies. Did you know, like, if you look up EVE Online and the Band of Brothers and what happened with them, it was something that apparently echoed throughout all video games. Like, if you never played EVE Online, or if you played EVE Online, like the Band of Brothers fell, and it was like a 12-hour attack. I'm trying to find it. It was
There's MMOstories.org stories, the disbanding of the Band of Brothers.
Yeah, the disbanding of the Band of Brothers.
B.O.B. or Band of Brothers was once a huge alliance in the EVE Online universe. At their height, they controlled vast swaths of game territory, even when several other power blocks united against them and refused to surrender. That sounds like me. Pushed back to their home system, they fought against their epic war that stretched into a stalemate. After months of open warfare involving thousands of players spanning countless battles, B.O.B. remained as defiant as ever. That was until, in a masterstroke of corporate espionage, a single agent of their greatest enemy, Goon Swarm, dealt them a single crippling blow that shattered their alliance. I gotta stop. Right about, we're only like 3 paragraphs in, and this almost sounds like the most epic thing ever.
It is, because it took years to do. It literally, the guy went from, how to explain this? Oh, okay. Cold War era Russian spy reaches the top of American government. That's how I can explain it. The guy went from nobody, like, hey, I want to join the Band of Brothers, to basically becoming the second guy. And he was a double agent the whole time.
And
it's insane. And the thing is, it happened, like, if you read on and on, there were gamers online physically calling, you need to get online, and we need to attack, we need to this. There were people being woken up in the middle of the night because, quite literally, basically their second life is being destroyed. It was how do I explain this? Dude, for example, if Frank Woods were to call you at 3 a.m, dude, we're being attacked, you would get up and go to arms. This is basically what happened, but in the video game.
Bro, something like that actually happened. There was a thing about banning Facebook pages. I'm like ready to go to bed at like 10:30, and all of a sudden I see this thing from Frank, and it's like I stay up another 2 to 3 hours just collating data and backing it up so it's not lost. It's like, okay, I've done that before. That was awesome. I could barely sleep that night. But yeah, I'm going to have to read this later, because this is one of those things, just like this is one of those defining moments in game history that you wish you were a part of. Man.
And it doesn't end there. I mean, there's so much to it. It's basically a sad tale. It's the video game version of Game of Thrones, of a fall of an epic alliance. You're left wondering, wow, how it could be its own TV show. What happened here, the rise and fall of the band of the disbanding of the Band of Brothers, it just shows, and yeah, it has a lot to do with economy and whatnot, and how it affected the EVE economy. Look into that, read it, and you'll understand how these online alliances transcend and go to something deeper. People lost a lot of money because they couldn't keep their businesses going, their legit businesses that they were running, because suddenly their alliance was destroyed. All they had was lost. So what do? You can't call the cops. You really can't.
Yeah, so it's time to mount up and regulate, you mean?
Yeah.
But seriously, thinking of all the stuff, like I like building my stuff. Uh, in the Civilization games, I always built a warlike empire because it was much easier to conquer the other people. And always Gandhi tried to threaten me with nuclear war every time I talked with him. And it's like you with games like this and similar ones, you can get the guy who uh, has the sleek starfighter that can blow up 3 to 4 cruisers at once or something like that. You could hire him to guard your convoys. There's Vega conflict where you have various fleets that you can send out to harvest supplies or raid other people, and it is a similar economic based thing. There's alliances. There's like my brother played it and a friend of mine plays it. They're in alliance together. There was the system that they were in, which was around a planet, and there was like 200 different players around that planet with their built up fortresses and mining and all this other good stuff. There were like 20 planets in that system. And then there were 20 systems beyond that, and 20 systems beyond that, and 20 systems beyond that. And it got to a point, it's like, I am never going to be able to explore all of this place because it's too big. But the thing about it is that if I jump to 3-star systems away from where my base is, and shock and awe out of the sky, I'm taking your stuff, it's mine now. Some random guy on some random planet, 3-star systems for me, it's less likely to come back and get me because they have to jump through 3 wormholes.
Yeah.
And we get into the whole metagaming side of things where it's like, okay, what's less likely to get me my ass handed to me? And in most games, it's not a lot. There's not a lot you can do.
I mean, for example, we're talking about a game economy and how things can thrive. For example, a game like No Man's Sky. I never played it, but I was just told it was like a massive universe to explore, blah, 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 blah. I just realized that it had such an opportunity to do what Eve was doing, but on a console. You can quite literally create your own universe, but you can't because there's nothing to do there. You literally go to a planet and take pictures. Like, come on, what are you doing?
They actually were. I watched a lot of live streams of it, and it was they would take stuff to repair their ships and repair their equipment and to actually sell things. But I agree with you that they missed a grand opportunity because they purposely built something into it that you could not interact with other players.
Exactly. See, I'm not a huge online gamer. I really don't. I don't play well with others when it comes to dealing with trolls and whatnot and cheaters. I just can't. So, but other games like, for example, Destiny, I can play that just fine with a group of friends. I can play Wildlands, Tom Clancy games just fine. If No Man's Sky had that nuance of making a huge possible world, I could get into it. I don't like sitting on my PC and gaming. Some guys say like, oh, but you're not getting the best of the games. If go ahead, Beck. If you want to play video games on a PC, go ahead, man. I'm not gonna knock it. You can do whatever it is the heck you want. Play wherever it is you want. I like to sit on my lazy boy and lean back and play on my 55-inch TV, soon to be 65-inch, by the way. I don't like to sit in front of a small screen and then like I get up with backaches. No, absolutely not. But when you can make something like EVE Online possible, hey, go ahead. I mean, it shouldn't be that difficult. but apparently it is. But maybe it's just because the world just expands so much, and PlayStation just doesn't have the data online data setting capability for it. That's fine too.
What I've been really kind of wishing for after watching several PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds streams was that they would make something similar to EVE Online, but have it be that you actually have a physical character. Like you get dropped in an area, you find the stuff you need, you start bartering, you deal with bandits and various warlord factions, you build your own, you create your own base. I know Division had something similar, but then add to it the expanse that you can get, and it's like I probably would lose days of my life to a game like that if it was done right. And that's one of the common themes that we've been discussing on the show, is that a lot of things these days are not being done as well as they could.
No,
But
no.
yeah, they could be some of the newer games like For Honor. It sounds like it's slowly dying now, but there's weird rumbles that Ubisoft is screwing up and displeasing their player base. It's like, as long as the game is live, Ubisoft said they'll maintain the things. Like, okay, we have customer service there. That's a good part of it. You have a playable game. Okay, it took 8 years to develop. Okay, we now have quality content. And the thing about it is that most of the stuff we hear like the last 2 years has been, it's not a full game, get this DLC. The play is pretty much just rehashed of 2 to 3 other games that you've already played, and I can get working with what works. But then it's like, okay, fine, we don't have any support for that. But the game that you actually like to play that was made 5 to 6 years ago, we don't support that. Go get that on Revive, because that's not our problem anymore.
Exactly. It all becomes it's all about making the $60 and then making the extra $150 for the DLC, season pass, etc., etc., etc. For example, I'm going to try and link you this picture. It's just,
you can put the link in the private chat and the
image. That's on Facebook. So,
okay.
hold on.
Well, that makes things easier.
DLC. So I'm just gonna go ahead and share this with you. Message.
I always find it amusing. It's like, even when I'm doing stuff online, it's like I have to narrate some of the things I'm doing when I'm on with someone. There's like, I'm not ignoring you. I'm doing some stuff. Okay, let's see. The game DLC now, and Star Wars Battlefront. I'm not surprised at all that is the
I had so many friends griping about Battlefront. Like, dude, it's great, it's awesome, it's fun. Yeah, like 2 days later, they're playing another game completely different. And like, what happened to Star Wars? Like, dude, the game just sucks. It's just like repetitive, constant repetition. I mean, my man, what were you expecting from a Battlefront game?
Yeah, I mean, I've played literally hours. I have thousands of medals in Battlefront 2, the original one, and it's like I play it because it's homey and I know what to expect, and I've conquered the same galaxy with the same forces in the same amount of times, hundreds of times, and that's why I play it for. What are you expecting else? It's no different than playing multiplayer online fighting games like Battlefield 1 or even Call of Duty. They have the same maps. I found, like, if you play a lot of it long enough, you'll even start to see the exact same people.
Yeah, I get it. It's just, I was for a while playing I was playing Destiny, and then a friend of mine introduced me to Iron Man. So I would play only with my crew. I wouldn't play with anyone else. So then I stopped playing it when they basically stopped playing it. You know, I don't like to play online that much with other people, but you know, if you got a good crew, I'll play. I'll play along, and then you know, then something like Battlefront comes along. It's just, what the hell is this insanity? Like, what the hell am I doing? I mean, all right, so I'm gonna kill everyone that looks different from me, right? Okay, that's it. That's what it basically is. Okay, by the way, you can go catch flag A, catch point A, catch point B, deliver item C to point Q. I'm like, sure, I guess. If, but you know, I hate doing that. And you know, and when games like Battlefront and Call of Duty are now like, hey, here's a 3 to 4 hour single player mode, and then we're gonna be dropping everything and its mother on for the online gaming. Stuff that you couldn't find in single player is going to be found on the multiplayer, and it's so basically the same thing. I mean, for example, Nazi zombies. Nazi zombies went from this little thing to an absolutely chaotic. It became a chaotic mess. I just didn't know what the hell was going on at one point. I don't know which Call of Duty had. I think it was Black Ops. Had Buffy the Vampire Slayer in it. Had Danny Trejo. Had, I think, Stephen King at one point.
I thought it was weird when they had Kennedy and Nixon and Castro.
Yeah, that was another one. That was the one before it.
That was World at War, I want to say.
No, World at War introduced it. Then I think it was which one? Modern Warfare 2. No, Modern Warfare 2 didn't even have it. Modern Warfare 2 didn't even have zombies. I think it was Modern Warfare 3. But besides the point, that was that one with Kennedy, Castro, and all that insanity. And then you had the one with all the with the horror legends, if you want to call them legends. And then you had more, like, you know, stuff going on. Like, you know, now they got jetpack guns. What the hell are we doing with jetpack guns?
I know. I was for some reason I ended up watching a stream of Call of Duty. It's not one of my favorite things, and it's like I've played Modern Warfare 2 and I played World at War. I really enjoy the multiplayer because, one, it was with my cousin and with my brother, and it's like I'm watching this and they got the ray gun or something. It's like, what in the heck is this thing that looks like a squirt gun? These guys running around, they look like they've been covered in paintball paint and spray paint.
Yes, that too.
What is this? We're fighting zombies, like, and you're dressed like a clown.
There was one of the zombie ones that was actually, I found pretty cool, because what you do is you start off at like a diner, and then you start a bus. You get on the bus, and you go to different spots, and you get different things, and you can actually end the game by going to the field, and you summon something, and it'll open up a vortex, and it'll insta kill, like it'll kill every zombie, and then, you know, you're rewarded with winning, basically.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so cool.
I remember one of the other times I had played, I think it was Black Ops 2. We were playing zombie mode because we didn't want to go up against each other for some reason. It's like we're trying to get as many zombie stuff as we can to get better guns. And I'm just standing there with the 1911 that they give you. It's like, okay, let's go. Headshot, 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 headshot. Let's not waste these bullets because I got 7 of them. I don't have a lot of ammunition. Let's not spray and pray, shall we? Let's think this through. Of course, if you've ever played online PvP or any multiplayer game with me that has fighting in it, you'll find that I like very, very close in. I will take a long-range character or tank or whatever it is and bring it nose to nose with my opponent and obliterate them as fast as I can because that's just how I roll. I literally, when playing World of War with my cousin, we would stack our bodies in the same place because we all fought over the treehouse. And I would lay down among them and wait for him to come in and knife him from the ground. Because he would just rush in through the door, and it's like, okay, shotgun, knife, shotgun, pistol, whatever else, just to switch it up a bit. And he's like, ugh.
I used
switch it.
whenever I would play Call of Duty and I would call for a care package, I'd always have to I call for the care package and I'd hide in the bushes. I just wait. And then, I literally saw people like kill themselves. And then one guy was smart. He hid right behind it and I threw a flashbang, so he was like going everywhere. Some random dude came up, stabbed them, so I threw another flashbang. At one point, one of my own guys, I pop up and he starts shooting at me like, oh, this is yours. And we're just taking my thing. I'm like, like there was like 7 bodies dead right now. Just literally just lit a booby trap. Just, and then I just started doing that. I called for a thing, and then a care package, and I put a claymore and just walk away and see people killing themselves for it.
Oh, that reminds me of the original Battlefront 2. There's a map called Tantive 4, and it's this very close-in, very claustrophobic space ship. And I would just lay mines like on the actual doors, so that when they would open, if there was an enemy on the other side, the moment they come in contact with the door or something, it would go off. And so I would get a lot of, because everyone would mass together. Of course, the AI has no brain, so I would get a lot of friendly kills because everyone would mass around the door, and like one enemy guy would go right by the mine, take out 3 of my guys. It's like, don't stand by my mines. There are these discs about the size of a dinner plate that glow red. You think people would figure out, you know what, that looks like a mine. Maybe I shouldn't go near that.
And you're dead.
Yeah.
Explosives in games are a game changer.
Oh, definitely.
And when I used to play the old school RPGs, tabletops, and if it was a modern setting, no explosives. Oh, but I have chemical +7. I want to make my own homemade bombs. I said no bombs, right?
that is actually one of the reasons why I was banned from using a particular squad in Runescape. I am banned from playing against new players with the Airborne Elite. The Airborne Elite are a set of elite World War II paratroopers who have grenades and rifles. They can be dropped into the battlefield on their parachutes wherever I wish, as long as I roll high enough. Because of this, my cousin and my brother, who had their forces amassed against me, were probably about 2/3 of their forces were destroyed in one move from the Airborne Elite. After that, no characters were ever set close to each other in a group so that they would not be taken out with an area attack after that. And I was not allowed to have the Airborne Elite within my forces until we faced more seasoned and more veteran players.
That sounds about right. That sounds just about right. Because it reached, when I still play every now and again with some friends, reaches the point that we walk into a town and it's all about how much shit can we steal before we get caught and have to get out of town.
You can't arrest you if they're all dead.
No, that was the thing. No body count. We would have a paladin in the group. And he would be in on it per se. He knew what was going on, but he didn't know. He couldn't meta. The player knew what was going on. Like, why do you guys always look exhausted throughout the day? We don't sleep, man. We take turns, watching the door. In reality, we're friggin' stealing everything in sight.
Well, think about this. That's what most of the games are.
One of the guys almost got caught stealing a loaf of bread.
Ooh.
He got Like he went back. Like what's the matter? I can't leave it. Like what the hell, man? We took everything. The DM literally told him, "Oh yeah, you got the shelf is there, but there's like one expensive looking bread sticking out against." He went back there for it because he said, I can't, I need it." He went back and almost got freaking caught
Oh my gosh. Oh
over a
my.
loaf of bread. And economy and games, man. That thing looks expensive. I want it. And then you have players that wouldn't play their actual wouldn't play, like a rogue would want to steal everything.
Oh,
yeah. You see this really amazing looking ruby. Oh, I leave that alone. That's a gaming plot. I know what you're doing. Ha ha. Like, dude, you're a thief. You grab the friggin' ruby. No matter what you say you don't do, you grab it.
The thing about it is, you say, "I'm not going to steal that." Wait for everyone else to look away, then you steal
it. Yeah. Seriously. It's all
one
about,
of our older.
What's that?
Sorry, no. Continue on your story. I'm just going to reminisce after that.
Yeah. We used to make things. We didn't make it impossible for the DM. We made it more. What the F are these guys doing to me? What, like, really? Like, yep. That's what we're doing.
There was one of the guys that used to be on here regularly. Probably would take the cake in this regard. In the Dungeons and Dragons, he played a half dragonkin thing, and in the process of them being in a dungeon, one of his fellow characters had been covered in oil for some unknown reason. They needed to light up the cave, and our associate decided to light his fellow player on fire and walk out.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah. So there was some homicide within the group. Needless to say, we found out that the guest in question was a bit of a pyromaniac and would go around just like shouting, "Burn them," as he used flamethrowers in his favorite games. Like, okay, remember not to let him near any matches in game anywhere, because that's just a recipe for disaster.
That's insane. I remember in one campaign we were playing, we had to get into the it's not the cemetery, it's like it's where they keep the bodies.
Mortuary?
No, it wasn't a mortuary. It was inside the castle walls. Anyway, what happened was, me as the ranger / thief convinced the thief. We went and pulled our money and we bought a resurrection spell. And I took a lock of his hair.
Mm-hmm.
We went into the bar. At this one, who else was in the bar? I think there was a barbarian and a druid, and they were off doing their thing. But we go to the bar and he steals something and gets caught. He ends up getting hanged. Meanwhile, the paladin is trying to, "Oh no, don't do this." So he gets hanged, and they take him inside, right?
Yeah.
So I used the lock of hair to resurrect him. I'm sorry, no, it was a ring. There was a ring of a contingency spell for raise dead. That was it. Yeah. So he died, and then he comes back to life while inside, and he manages to open everything from inside. And we used them. We were after a scepter for somebody. What the hell? It was like 20-something years ago. But anyway, we went in. He went, opened the doors from the inside. We used another spell to get his lost level back. But you know, the DM thought like that's absolutely insane what you guys just did.
One of if we ever do the live stream of an RPG, and I really hope we do, hopefully Paul, one of the guys who we had on before, will be on because he had this amazing story. They were supposed to. I really should download that part, cut it up, and have it just as a standalone. They were having. They had to raid a castle to get rid of the tyrant who was there.
Mhm.
There was too many guards, so they waited for a banquet. They hire an army of hobos. He says each hobo got a hammer and a burlap sack, and we sent them to storm the banquet and win the game.
Wow.
He told it much better, but it's like, oh my gosh, we have an army of hobos. And the other story he told was using a cancer kid to abduct some woman in yeah. Obviously, I need to get those. That's in Gamer Sale Underground. I want to say it's number 4. If whoever is to watch this is wondering which episode that was in, you should check that one out. The subsection Gamer's Tale Underground, and those 2 stories are probably the best one of the night. So we'll have to, of course, hold our own RPG, and then you can join in the stories with us.
Oh, I have so many RPG stories. Things that went really bad, things that went really well, and things that just left you wondering, wait, what the hell were we doing? Well, what's the point?
Well, unfortunately, we'll have to save those stories for another time. We'll probably have another storytelling episode sometime in the future. It's way past what we would normally stop as, but as with all good conversation, it has to come to an end at some point, and we'll resume at another time. I'm Trent Gander. This has been The Gamer's Tale, and cool music plays as the lights go down.